Oscar Man 42. Oscar Curse? Take 5. Is winning an Oscar a good thing for an actor's career, or is it a curse? I'm Michael, aka Oscar Man, and I want to talk about some Oscar-winning actors who weren't able to sustain their film careers after receiving the industry's highest honor. Now, that's not to say that many of those discussed here didn't continue working at all, whether it be on television or on the stage. But what happened with their future movie roles? I'll lead off with an actor whose film and performance took the Academy by storm. A hit with both critics and audiences, 2011's The Artist took place in Hollywood during the late 1920s and early 1930s, and focused on a film star whose career is in decline when silent movies are replaced with talkies. For his portrayal of Georges Valentine, Jean Dujardin won Best Actor at BAFTA, SAG, the Cannes Film Festival, the Golden Globes, Independent Spirit Awards, and the Oscars. The Artist was awarded 5 Oscars, including Best Picture, and it became the most honored French film in history. Now, I remember everyone talking about the film when it first came out, as the story was told entirely without spoken words. The novel nature of the film and the techniques used include shooting it in color, even though it was shown in black and white, and in the same ratio as seen in the silent screen era, made The Artist a creative standout. Its leading man, Jean Dujardin, became the frontrunner for Best Actor that year, following appearances in more than 25 films. After his Oscar win, Dujardin co-starred in The Wolf of Wall Street, and then a dozen more films that never reached the heights of The Artist. What happened? Why didn't Jean Dujardin become an A-list Hollywood star? Was he a victim of the hypothetical Oscar curse? Is The Artist a Best Picture winner that audiences have forgotten?
What you probably don't realize is that we have a lot of old men on this ward who couldn't hear the music if we turned it lower. That music is all they have.
When the topic of the Oscar curse comes up, the Best Actress win for Louise Fletcher in 1975's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest inevitably comes up.
You know, Billy, what worries me is how your mother's going to take this.
Fletcher's performance and win have been discussed several times on this channel, which has brought about a lot of differing opinions. Now, some think hers is one of the best to ever win an Oscar, while others feel the role of Nurse Ratched was a supporting one. Then there are some who have stated that Louise Fletcher wasn't all that good and got swept up in the Cuckoo's Nest Oscar suite that year. I will say this. I think Louise Fletcher did a serviceable job portraying Nurse Ratched as a cold, cruel character. She did what she needed to do to successfully create an evil villain. It worked. But imagine what Anne Bancroft, Angela Lansbury, Geraldine Page, or Ellen Burstyn would have done, as all were considered for the part. I even would have loved to see what Lily Tomlin, who was originally cast, did with Nurse Ratched. She may have even injected humor, or at the least some irony, into the character. Now, based on her other work, I don't think Louise Fletcher possessed the ability to go deep. That is, to explore the subtext of a character. She performed what was on the page. That's it. And though I'm not familiar with a lot of her work in more than 60 television appearances and nearly 50 features, what I have seen is that Louise Fletcher had a tendency to be rather stiff and sometimes wooden. Cuckoo's Nest and Nurse Ratched remain iconic, and Fletcher will be forever known for that portrayal. But I think it might have been a tough act to follow. Perhaps Louise Fletcher became stereotyped, which has happened to many actors. Louise Fletcher died in 2022 at the age of 88.
Okay, Nardo? Tony! Hold it! Now, let's just cool it. I mean, the deal is a fair fight between you and I. Come on, give it a gang.
Mother hen protecting the little one. I'll give you a battle, Gallito.
You've got me.
I'll take pretty
Boy,
boy.
it's a warm-up.
Afraid pretty boy. Afraid gutless. Afraid chicken.
In 1961's West Side Story, George Chakiris won supporting actor on his first and only nomination.
Never mind my stomach.
Well, I mind your nose and your head broken.
Broken?
Sure. They used Maria for an excuse to start World War III.
It is more than that.
More than what? She was only dancing.
With an American. It was really a Polak.
Says they speak.
You are not so cute.
Now don't worry, I'll get to some actors who weren't caught up in a sweep of their films at the Oscars. But it's hard to ignore this scenario when discussing George Chakiris, whose win was one of 10 out of 11 nominations for a film that the public and the Academy loved. As Bernardo, Chakiris likely won for his musical numbers and not for any dramatic scenes. A very talented and experienced dancer who worked in such films as Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and White Christmas, George Chakiris moved to London to star as Riff in the West End production. And though he auditioned for the role in the film version, his dark looks from his Greek heritage made him more suitable for Bernardo. Following his Golden Globe and Oscar wins, Chakiris was signed to a long-term contract with the Mirisch Company, whose founder produced West Side Story. Unfortunately, Chakiris was cast in a series of low-quality movies, all of which flopped. In fact, he was quoted as saying that all of the films he made after West Side Story had been a waste of time that were difficult to take seriously. Chakiris added, "It was my fault and no one else's." When the film work dried up, the actor made the guest star circuit on television shows such as Murder, She Wrote and Dallas. I can't equivocally say that George Chakiris was the victim of the Oscar curse because I'm unsure as to whether he would have had a strong film career with or without an Oscar win. I think he was just fine in West Side Story. But then I can't imagine any actor not succeeding when most of Bernardo's scenes were opposite the incomparable Rita Moreno. In recent years, George Chakiris has sold sterling silver jewelry he designs and is always affable in public appearances and interviews.
You have my heart broken, Christy Brown. Sometimes I think you are my heart. Look, if I could give you my legs, I would gladly take yours.
The first Irish actress to win an Academy Award, Brenda Fricker's performance in 1989's My Left Foot earned her that year's Best Supporting Actress Oscar.
That's more money than your poor father ever earned in a whole year. I can't take it.
All's for you. It's yours.
I can't take it, son.
My Left Foot was only Brenda Fricker's second film, and she received raves for her portrayal of Christy Brown's mother, a role that was originally to be played by Oscar winner Judi Dench. Brenda Fricker hasn't been out of work much since her Oscar win, but her film output has varied from The Field to A Time to a Kill and So I Married an Axe Murderer, choosing to work on productions in Canada, Ireland, and the United Kingdom. In her autobiography, She Died Young, Brenda Fricker humorously told of how she accidentally became an actress, recalling that she attended her first audition, quote, "only if I found a parking place," unquote. As a native of Los Angeles, I can relate. The actress also recounted her battle with severe depression, which had no doubt an impact on her personal and professional life. Winning an Oscar so early in her film career would seem to have presented Fricker with an automatic boost. But I don't know whether or not this talented actress was offered many movie roles, so I'm guessing her win might have been more of a curse. Again, this is all hypothetical speculation. What do you think happened here?
What? What? What'd you come here for? Did you come to get the rest of your stuff? There's no more stuff, Jack. It all got burned. Accidentally.
Perhaps best known for her work in the theater, Mercedes Ruehl won the Best Supporting Actress Oscar for 1991's The Fisher King.
What did I get? What did I get I couldn't have gotten from anybody with no name any night of the week? Do you think your company is such a treat? Your moods, your pain, your problems? Do you think this has been entertaining for me?
Though her strong performance as Anne pretty much garnered Mercedes Ruehl most of the supporting actress accolades that year, the actress only made about a dozen films after receiving the Oscar. Ruehl worked steadily in television series and films, and continued working on and off Broadway. I realize that Mercedes Ruehl was never primarily a film actress, and perhaps she is an example of someone who won an Oscar because she was at the right place and time. And that wasn't the only instance of synergy. While attending the College of New Rochelle, Mercedes Ruehl composed a thesis about T.S. Eliot's poem, The Wasteland, and when she read the script and saw that the poem was featured in The Fisher King, she knew she had to play the role of Anne, which initially was intended for Ellen Barkin. I always thought Mercedes Ruehl was a solid, reliable actress who has been underappreciated. Though not as likely known to general movie-going audiences as some of her contemporaries, the Oscar winner's achievements speak for themselves. Why do you think Mercedes Ruehl's film career never really took off?
Why, you're prettier than you ever was. I almost told that to that whole bunch down at the party tonight. I almost said you ought to see my bride that's waiting home for me tonight. And you was waiting, Katie. That was nice. Awful nice. It was just like it used to be.
Sometimes an actor lands a great role after decades of film work, which was the case for James Dunn, who won Best Supporting Actor on his first and only nomination for 1945's A Tree Grows in Brooklyn.
You got a bad case, a very bad case.
Case of what, Papa?
A very bad case of growing up. That's all it is. Oh, it ain't fun sometimes, but don't you be afraid. I don't want you should ever be afraid.
You're so nice, Papa. I guess it's better if you don't just stay young all your life. It'll be much nicer growing up.
Yeah. When you get to see things like they really are.
Based on the best-selling novel, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn was a highly anticipated film, and director Elia Kazan began an extensive search to cast the right actor for the role of Johnny Nolan, the charming father whose struggles with alcoholism result in his constant unemployment and ability to care for his family. James Dunn's career began in the 1930s, and he appeared in more than 30 films as a contract player for 20th Century Fox. However, Dunn's alcoholism worsened, and by the early 1940s, he was deemed unemployable by the major studios. Unable to find work, Dunn screen tested for the role of Johnny and was ultimately cast because Elia Kazan saw what he observed as a trace of pain in Dunn's face as a result of what he perceived was the actor's failing the test of life, which mirrored the character that he would portray. Dunn's deeply felt performance won him the best reviews of his career, with one critic stating that the actor, quote, has never done before, nor ever will again, anything of more sublime conviction, unquote. Winning the Oscar was seen as a major comeback for James Dunn. Unfortunately, it did nothing to revive his film career, and future work was sporadic. Ironically, one of the last films the actor appeared in was the Oscar. James Dunn's win seemed to be a mixed blessing. While it brought him long overdue acclaim, the high was short-lived. James Dunn died in 1967 at the age of 65. Okay, I know this one is a stretch for the topic, but I thought it would be interesting to talk about Emil Jannings, the very first winner of Best Actor for two films released in 1927 and 1928. To date, Jannings remains the only German to win the lead actor Oscar. At the first ceremony, he won for two performances, The Last Command and The Way of All Flesh, both silent films. Emil Jannings' increasing popularity in more than 50 films landed him a contract with Paramount Pictures, and his most notable credit was in The Blue Angel with Marlene Dietrich. However, the actor's thick German accent was difficult to understand, thus ending his career in America. While The Last Command garnered the best reviews, the film failed at the box office. The Way of All Flesh is considered largely lost, with only a couple of fragments remaining. Now, here's a fun piece of trivia. In the book Rin Tin Tin, The Life and the Legend, author Susan Orlean claims that Emil Jannings was not the winner of the first Best Actor award, but the runner-up to Rin Tin Tin, the German Shepherd dog who was one of the biggest movie stars of the day. Orlean wrote that the Academy, worried about not being taken seriously if the first Oscar went to a dog, awarded the trophy to the runner-up. While definitely an amusing anecdote, there has been no evidence to substantiate this. So, while winning the first Oscar as Best Actor didn't exactly propel Emil Jannings to more work in major Hollywood films, it did place him in the annals of Oscar history. The actor died from cancer in 1950 at the age of 65. Can an actor suffer the Oscar curse after winning twice? I'll get to that next. But first, I want to express my gratitude to you for coming along with me on my exploration of what some have said is a thing and others believe is a myth. When the video concludes with a scene from an actress who never made another film after her nomination, will you please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you already have, tell a friend or two to join us Oscar nerds for weekly videos and fun daily polls.
Candace, our mover is Cody. Cody. Wow, beautiful. You still brooding over your fiancé? What? Oh, yeah, it's a real long story. Oh, God, you're really good with kids. Yeah, I got one of my own.
In one of my top 5 Best Actress performances, Hilary Swank won the first of her 2 Oscars as Brandon Teena in 1999's Boys Don't Cry. 5 years later, Swank was called to the Oscar stage again, this time for portraying another tragic character in 2004's $1 Million Baby.
You never signed those house papers like you were supposed to. So anytime I feel like it, I can sell that house from under your fat, lazy hillbilly asses. And if you ever come back, that's exactly what I'll do.
So what happened to Hilary Swank? I can certainly understand some Oscar winners finding it difficult to star in good films post-victory. But 2 Oscars, followed up with a string of box office duds? I don't get it. I'm not one who thinks Hilary Swank's pair of Oscars were a fluke. I mean, talk about a rags to riches story. After being fired from the TV series Beverly Hills 90210, Hilary Swank was living in a car with her mother when she auditioned for Boys Don't Cry, landing the role of the true-life young woman who lived her life as a male. Swank was paid SAG scale, which at the time was $75 a day. Her haunting performance brought her critical acclaim, as well as a sweep of pretty much all of the awards that year. Interestingly, her films after Boys Don't Cry weren't of much note until she was cast in Million Dollar Baby as Maggie Fitzgerald, a strong-willed woman whose dream is to become a boxer. A second nomination, a second Oscar, and then... I wish Hilary Swank had been around during the 30s and 40s, when stars like Bette Davis and Katharine Hepburn were afforded the opportunities to work steadily and maintain their status in Hollywood. But that bygone era of the studio system created a mixed bag for actors who, on the one hand, enjoyed steady work, but on the other, hated being controlled and told what movies to make, who to date, etc. Hilary Swank is in good company with Vivien Leigh, Louise Reiner, and Sally Field, all of whom have gone 2 for 2 in the Best Actress category. Do you think Hilary Swank has suffered the Oscar curse? Twice? Now it's your turn to share the names of those whom you think may have suffered some sort of Oscar curse, because their subsequent film careers lost steam after their respective wins. While I think I know some of those you'll suggest, you also never fail to surprise me too. So until we meet again, are you familiar with Jocelyn Lagarde? She made one American movie, 1966's Hawaii, received a nomination as Best Supporting Actress, and afterward never appeared in another film. What do you make of that?
I know little bit English already. How you mean it? Help my people.
Help them to know God.
And reading too and writing.
Writing? Ah, this is good. It is our need. In 1 month time, I learn plenty writing.
But first you must learn about God, without whose grace all writing is useless.
First, write. Then maybe I listen your God.